Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. On the channel we post writing tips, unboxings, book hauls, book reviews and the occasional vlog. And today I am actually revisiting a video I did quite a while ago. I'll pop a link up here if you haven't seen it, which is of my full TBR. Before getting into that, do forgive me, I have a cold at the minute, so I will be doing this quite slow, but don't worry, it'll be being sped up for you guys, but that's why I sound very nasally. Now, for the last TBR video, if you haven't seen that, as I said, link is above me now, on this shelf we had 159 books in total, and out of that 159, I had a 91 book TBR. So I'm going to redo that and redo the count and see if that's got worse or better. Up to your own interpretation on what is worse or better in terms of a book TBR. The full total was, out of 322 books, I had 154 book TBR, which was 47% of books I still had to read within our physical book collection. I have been making a really big effort since that video to read books that we already own, and I have bought less books. However, that does not mean more books have not come into the house quicker than we have read them. I do think the amount of books total that we own has gone up, even though I've been being stricter on my buy-in. One of the issues has been that though I have been stricter on my buy-in, which means I've bought a lot less new books, I have ended up with quite a few second-hand books, quite often to finish series that I've already got on the shelves. So, you know, books 2 and 3 of a trilogy have appeared. But anyway, like last time, I'm going to clean the bookshelves, I'm going to take all the books off, put them all back up, but I'm going to put the ones that I haven't read with the pages out, and then we'll count together total books, books still to read. We'll do that for this shelf, the other shelf, and in the office as well. Let's get started. As you can see, I've made a much bigger dent in my Discworld read through. I have just finished reading Wintersmith, so much bigger chunk than last time. I think in the last video I was up to the 5th elephant, and this is just the hardback first editions that we have up here, so there's more on the other shelf that you'll see. But I've made a big dent since the last TBR video in Pratchett's. Not too bad. Like in the last video, I'll count the Pratchett as 1 on the TBR just because I make my way through them, or should I? No, this time I'm going to count all the Pratchetts as well. Yes, we'll do that. Since my last TBR video, I have also made this, which is a book nook that my mum got me. If you want to see the process of me making that, I have a video. That link's above me now. David Mitchell's are actually making quite a cute pattern, I think. And then the third shelf. I'll move these ladders because we don't need them for this height. I will again try to count the books we have out on loan as well in my grand total. It will make sense at the end. This one I have read, but I like to keep it on the shelf with the sprayed edges in view. So that is read, just in case later on you see me not count that as not read. It's the sprayed edges. Okay, actually, for the count, I'll turn it that way, alright? To to my recollection, this shelf is a lot more complete than it was the last time. The last shelf on this side now. Like last time, this is still a pile of mostly borrowed books or books that we are planning to sell or give away once Matt has finished. I've actually read all of these ones already, so they're just in this pile until Matt has read them. But I'll turn the ones that are waiting for me to read. This pile here is a series borrowed from Matt's dad. It's the Peter V. Brett series, The Painted Man, and Matt said the first one is really good, but he hasn't been too sure from that point. So I'm actually waiting for Matt to finish those to see if I actually want to read them or not, because he says they're a little bit sexist, but without the need to be, if that makes sense. So we'll see what Matt says. But that is this shelf dusted, so let's count. So the total number of books on this shelf. So there is 165 books. So that last count was 159. So there are 6 more books somehow on this shelf. Who knows how? And let's count how many of those I still need to read. And this time I am going to count all the Pratchetts that I haven't read. Ooh! So 66 are on this shelf now, which last time there were 91 that I hadn't read. So that's actually really good. So on this shelf there are more books than there were last time, but the quantity that I have not read has gone down, so that is awesome. Let's turn those back around then, and then we'll move on to the next shelf. Ones that I still need to read are Erebus by Michael Palin, The Waterfall Warrior by Owen B. Lewis, Skandar and the Unicorn Thief by A.F. Steadman. This one is one of the books I took away from our wedding book swap. We have 2 Laura Purcell books. Matt got me these for my birthday. They are quite high on my TBR list now. I read a book of short stories and one of hers in there I thoroughly enjoyed, so Matt got me those. The Wild Road by Gabriel King. This was one sent by my mum because Terry Pratchett said it is an ultimate animal adventure, so she thought we would want to read it. A Lent book is Half a King by Joe Abercrombie. That's from Matt's dad. Some more books from Matt's dad I need to read are Orange is the New Black by Piper Kerman. We have Butter by Asako Yuzuki. And we have Fools and Mortals by Bernard Cornwell. We also have, and this has been on here for quite a while, Winterset Hollow by Jonathan Edward Durham. This is one my sister gave me. It's one that she read from an indie author that she didn't want to keep, so gave it to us to read, and I just still haven't, and I need to do that. We have 2 Stacey Hall's books, The Familiars and The Foundlands. I have, since the last video, read Mrs. England, so one is gone. I have Pets Tell Tales, Ancient Egypt. This is signed from our friend Jordan Culliver, who is the artist in making this comic. So I'm excited to read that. It'll be a really easy, quick read. Everything I Learned in a Chinese Restaurant by Curtis Chin. This is another one from our wedding book swap. It is one that one of our friends actually took from the book swap and then gave it back to us for us to read. It was given by Tom, my friend Kezia's fiance, who is the loveliest person you've ever met. Those two as a couple, I love them so much. So I'm really excited to read this one, because if Tom thinks this is really good and wanted to share it, then I can guarantee it will be. We have Anne Cleeve's The Crown Trap. This was just given to us from a member of our book club. We did a Christmas book swap, but she also brought in just a bunch of books she was getting rid of, so we all ended up with more books than we planned. Likewise, The Prague Cemetery by Umberto Eco, and the same situation from Prophet Song by Paul Lynch. Moving up to the second shelf, this was a pick up at Christmas this year, The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. Antonia Hodgson wrote The Devil in the Marshalsea series, which if you're not new here, I'll put a link above to my series where I read that, and I just adore Antonia Hodgson's writing. So this is now a fantasy book. The Devil in the Marshalsea is a historical fiction murder mystery. So it's a whole new genre, but I had to get it because I love her writing. We have The Bedlam Stacks by Natasha Pulley. I read The Watchmaker Filigree Street and The Lost Future of Pepper Harrow by Natasha Pulley, thinking that was a duology. Oops, I missed out this one in the middle, so I've got to read that. A Court of Thorns and Roses. I kind of want to get through a few series that I already had on my TBR before I start a new big TBR, so that's why that one hasn't been read yet. We have Murakami, A Wild Sheep Chase. We have two vintage books. We have the Makioka Sisters and Bring the Snow. This Strange Pictures, Oketsu, the Chilling Japanese Mystery Sensation. This is from the Christmas book gifting that we did in the book club, so that was the gift I ended up with. We have The Travelling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arakawa. Days at the Morizaki Bookshop by Satoshi Yagasawa. If Cats Disappeared from the World by Genkai Kawamura. And the last one on this shelf is The Never Ever After by Su Lin Tan, which is Su Lin Tan's newest book. Now that we've turned all those around, we'll actually turn that one back around to my spirit ages. Going up then, on this shelf we have Blood in the Mist by Hope Mirrlees. We have two Naomi Noviks. We have Uprooted, which is one of the books I have suggested for my book club to read this year, same as I have also suggested If Cats Disappeared from the World. So those two I won't read until they come up in the book club. And we have the Tamara series by Naomi Novik, just the first one. We then have a book from my sister. This is Son of Blood and Ruin. It's one she got at Barter Books up in Alnwick, which is a great secondhand bookshop. She didn't want to keep it after she read it, but I thought I'll give it a go. We have two Jessie Burtons. We have The Miniaturist and we have The Confession. The Miniaturist is actually on my current TBR for this year, so that will be read very soon. We have Once Upon a River by Diane Setterfield. This is also one that must be read this year for my TBR. We have The Wren Hunt by Mary Watson. This is also on my recent TBR, so that will be read very soon. We then have two by Catherine Arden. Now, I read The Bear and the Nightingale, thinking it was a standalone. Now two more books are on my bookshelves. We have The Girl in the Tower and The Winter of the Witch. We then have R.F. Kuang. We have The Dragon Republic and book one of that series, which is The Poppy War. Another R.F. Kuang is Babel. We then have some David Mitchells, which I have definitely made a dent in this year, but we have Utopia Avenue. We have Number 9 Dream, Cloud Atlas, Ghost Written. And then we have some Tolkien books. We have The Master of Middle Earth, The Achievement of J.R.R. Tolkien, Paul Kocher. And we have The Silmarillion, which was the book Matt gave to me at our wedding. I gave him a first edition Pratchett. And then the last two on the shelf, we have Kurt Cobain journals, and we have Edgar Allan Poe selected poems and tales. Going up to the last shelf of Pratchett's. I'm not actually going to read the Pratchett's to you that I haven't read because it's a big series, but just know I'm up to Wintersmith. I've just finished that book, which means my next Pratchett read is Making Money. So that is the one I am up to. With that, I'm going to finish turning those back round, but I'll see you again on the other bookshelves. And welcome to bookshelf 2. Same as the first one, I'm going to take everything down, dust the shelves, and then I'll put them back with books I haven't read with the paper out. We'll do a count. On this shelf, the last count was 127 books and 57 on the TBR. Fingers crossed it'll be similar to the other one, where there's possibly more books, but more of them read. I don't know. I also did do a recount on the first shelf because it's 66 TBR if you count Pratchett as one, which I believe is what we did on the first count through, but just in case I also counted with the Pratchetts I hadn't read, and it came to 86 TBR. The main reason to miss out the Pratchetts is because we have two copies. We have the hardback first editions, and then on this side with the paperback first editions, which you'll see in a moment. So I never really know which ones are where to count, but I thought I'd give you both those numbers just in case. So if you count all of the Pratchetts on that shelf, there's 86 on the TBR list on that bookshelf. It's 66 on the TBR shelf if you count just one Pratchett to mean all the other Pratchetts. Either way, that's still less than the 91 TBR that shelf used to be. So let's hope this shelf has a similar TBR downward turn. But let's get dusting and counting. I want to say that's also looking a lot better than last time. Second shelf now. This one is actually coming out as a TV series soon. It is A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. I read this back in Korea, but I will reread this just before that TV series comes out so I can refresh my memory and see which one's better. This one, I'm actually just waiting for Matt to read it, is the Fire and Blood George R. R. Martin series. It's like the history of the Targaryens, and I read it whilst the HBO TV series was out, House of Dragons? Can't remember what it's even called. The first season of that was quite similar to the book. After that it's got really bad, and this book itself, although parts of it are quite interesting, it's a lot of name dropping, and I'm not going to read it again, so I just need Matt to read it or decide if he's not going to read it for it to leave our bookshelves. Okay, we'll now lose these ladders for the next two shelves. Not the best, not the worst. I will say part of this shelf, mainly this part here, is a lot of books Matt has actually bought recently, so not my fault, but they are ones that I should read. They are on my TBR now, but it's not my fault that more have appeared over here, alright? So bookmark collection, I have done a video. I have been doing a 2026 declutter of every room in the house, and I did film unhauling a lot of bookmarks, so if you're interested in that, that link's above me now. But I have been doing unhauls. Luckily, me and Matt don't actually have that much stuff that we don't keep. We're very selective of what we buy. We tend to build a lot of things, and our family and friends know that we're quite selective of what we want and what we have. Over the years, we've been getting a lot less stuff, so a lot less to get rid of, but there's always some little bits and drips and drabs that you need to go through. Doing a deep clean as I've been going, I've been deep cleaning and decluttering at the same time, hence why we're doing the shelves today. This is part of the rooms that we're doing. Like last time, some of the books in this corner I'm not going to count. Like, this was my granddad's navigational aids book. Here was a captain on a cargo ship, and some of these are Matt's research books, which I'm not going to read, so I'm not going to turn around ones like that. Let us do the count of books in total, the books paper facing out that I still need to read, and we'll compare it to last year's. So there are 155 books on this shelf. So like the other side, that is more on this side than last year. Last year this side had 127. We have gained quite a lot of books on here. I will repeat, Matt has been on a bit of a buy and binge, so he has been buying quite a lot of sci-fi books recently. I'm going to blame that. But now let's count my TBR on the shelf. Oh no! Last year the TBR on this shelf was 57, and this year, although I have definitely made a dent, as in I've started reading the Brandon Sanderson, I've been reading the Trudy Canavan series, but then I did also get another few to finish off a series on there. But this year the TBR on that is 69 TBR, and then if I include the other Pratchetts, which there might be duplicates of, that goes up to 82. Oh dear. Although that shelf there is less to read on the TBR but more books, this one has more books and there's more to read on the TBR. Let's start turning the books back over then, and then we just have The Office left. The Office still does not have bookshelves, but the pile on the floor has definitely increased in volume. Again, because of the cold, I'm not going to go through those today with you guys, so it will be instantaneous for you, but it may be another day for me when we get to those and do the grand total. But let's turn these over and see what books are on my TBR. We have Roadside Picnic, which Matt keeps going back to at the minute. He's using it to help him write a short story he's working on, so he keeps looking back at this one to help him on that. We have Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I have watched the recent film and loved it. I'm scared to read the book because I know it's just going to make me sad. We have Strong Female Character by Fern Brady. This is the comedian Fern Brady, and it's her sort of autobiography to an extent of growing up as a woman with autism without people knowing, sort of thing, like women weren't diagnosed with it, and it's just about the differences and what that's like. We have Edgar Allan Poe, Tales of Mystery and Imagination, Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James, How to Solve Your Own Murder, Kristen Perrin. This is one my mum read and then gave to us. It's a holiday read, I'm classing it as, so it's one that I might actually take on our honeymoon this year. Similar to that, we have The Housekeepers by Alex Hay, another kind of murder mystery that my mum gave us. Again, one I'd consider taking on our honeymoon. We have The ABC Murders by Agatha Christie. This is one that we took from the Christmas book swap that we had in our book club. Rivers of London by Ben Aronovich. We have The Traitor by Seth Dickinson, Schrodinger's Kittens and the Search for Reality by John Gribben. I'm scared to read this. The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, Bachelors Anonymous by P.G. Wodehouse, The Doors of Perception, Heaven and Hell by Aldous Huxley, The Master and Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov. I'm butchering these names. Perfume, The Story of a Murderer by Patrick Suskind, The Old Man and the Sea, Ernest Hemingway, Pale Fire, Vladimir Nabokov, and The King in Yellow, Robert W. Chambers. We then have a bit of a stack. These were from Matt's Uncle Pete. It is the Wheel of Time series up to book 5, so that's a big series to tackle. That is on my TBR at some point, but I need to be ready for it. The top 3 are ones that I actually got for free from our little green refill shop. We do a book swap there, so you can just help yourself when you drop books off. I have T.S. Eliot Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats. And then I have 2 Witcher books. We have The Witcher The Last Wish and The Witcher Sword of Destiny. I picked these up because they are shorter stories of The Witcher, to see if I would want to add the Witcher series to my big fantasy reads TBR. So that's shelf 1. Shelf 2, we have 2 by James S.A. Corey. This is Leviathan Wakes and Caliban's War. This was a TV series which I absolutely loved, so I need to read the books of it. We have The Three Body Problem by Cixin Liu. Apologies. We then have books 2 and 3 in a series I started. So that is the Alistair Reynolds and its Redemption Arc and Revelation Space. We have a new series that Matt has started. This is books 1, 2 and 3 and it is Stephen Erickson and it's the Malazan series, another massive epic fantasy that people have said is like you need Wikipedia to help you get through it, to remember everything that's going on. So another huge undertaking which I'm not ready to start yet, but they probably will be on my TBR because Matt is absolutely loving that series. We have a Brandon Sanderson Oathbringer. We have the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. We have 2 books by Asimov. We have Second Foundation and Foundation and Empire. I believe we're actually missing book 1, that is a trilogy. And those are from our wedding book swap. And basically someone took book 1 and didn't take book 2 and 3 and we can't find who it was. But now we've got book 2 and 3, so we need to find book 1. We have the continuation of June, which is June Messiah and June Children of June by Frank Herbert. I am going to read those nearer the time that the next movie is coming out, which is what I did with the first June because I want to compare those. Then have the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, that whole series. And then also by Douglas Adams we have The Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul and Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. We have a trilogy, well not trilogy, sorry, we have a series here by Becky Chambers. I believe there is one more book in this series currently out, and it's The Long Way to a Slow Angry Planet. We've been gathering these because Matt is up to date on this series. We then have The Mars House by Natasha Pulley, who is the author of The Watchmaker at Filigree Street, which is one I picked up because I want to see what her sci-fi is like. We have The Vor by B. Catling. Terrified to read it. Our friend Phil says everyone must read it. It's on the list. We have Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. The Steep by Chana Porter. The Employees by Olga Ravin. I know Matt has already read this twice. He loves it. Temporary by Hilary Lichter. Now we have quite a few Ursula K. Le Guins. Now we have Tales from Earthsea, The Telling and The Dispossessed. I did read The Left Hand of Darkness in 2025 and adored it, so I'm looking forward to reading more of Ursula K's work. And the last 2 on this shelf is Arthur C. Clarke, Rendezvous with Rama, and 1984, George Orwell. Now going on to the 3rd shelf. We're getting there, there's quite a lot on here, but these shelves have a lot less on them. So for George R.R. Martin, there are only 2. There is George R.R. Martin and Gardner Dozo's Dangerous Women, which is a collection of short stories. And similarly, we have the George R.R. Martin and Gardner Dozo's Rogues, which is another collection of short stories. For the Trudy Canavans, we have 2 trilogies on here. Oh no, can I do it? Can I do it? Yes. Right, we have 2 trilogies on here. The top trilogy here is actually one that I'm going to read for 2026. It's in my plans. So that is The Priestess of the White, and the other trilogy is The Ambassador's Mission. We then have another fantasy trilogy here, which is Prince of Thorns by Mark Lawrence, and that is a trilogy. Final 2 on this shelf, which is a duology, is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon and The Priory of the Orange Tree. So technically in publication order it's Priory of the Orange Tree and then The Day of the Fallen Night, but in timeline order in the story it's the opposite way around. Okay, I'll go get the ladders for the last shelf. The last shelf is basically the Pratchett, so I'm not going to read them all to you, but as you know from the other side, I am up to Making Money by Terry Pratchett. But on this side we have a lot of Pratchetts, but we also have the Terry Pratchett, the Long Mars, which is also co-written with Stephen Baxter. So we have that series on this side as well. Everything else is just Pratchett. Alright, and that's it for shelf 2 in the sitting room. We just have the office book pile to go through. I'm not going to do that today because, as I said at the beginning of the video, I do have a cold at the moment and I'm very much feeling the lag right now and need to just rest for a bit. So it will be instantaneous for you, but for me, I'll see you on another day to finish this clean and TBR. But at the moment, 165 on shelf 1 with a 66 TBR/86 if you include the Pratchett's, which is more books but smaller TBR than last time. This one is 155 books, which is more books than the previous year, and it has a 69 TBR, 82 if you include the Pratchett's, which is more than the last TBR video, because the last TBR video was 127 books total and 57 on the TBR. 12 extra books on the shelf for the TBR, and I'm gonna stick to my guts and I'm gonna blame this bit. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you like, as soon as I upload, click the little bell down below, and I'll see you in our office. Hello everyone, it is the next day for me, same day for you guys, and this is the last book pile in the house, and it's definitely grown from the last time. Let's remove the stuff on top of it. I just have this one here to protect the books from dust. We are planning to make bookshelves in this room, but we haven't done it yet. I'll remove all the stuff and we'll get counting what books are on my TBR, what books I've read, and then we'll be able to do the final count. I'm worried up here will also be a higher number. This is an interesting angle for both of us, but I'm gonna have to count the books that I've read and the books that I haven't read, and we'll do this count. Seriously, angles, not good. There are 71 books here in total. We are back at a slightly easier angle for me. All the books here. We have 71 books in total, and on that TBR are 22 books. In comparison, in the last video up here were 45 books and there were only 6 on the TBR. I'll show you what's on that TBR. First we have The Earth Hums in B Flat by Mary Strachan. We have Always Remember The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, the Horse and the Storm by Charlie McCarry. The Essential Spike Milligan, I Told You I Was. The Devil and the Dark Water, Stuart Turton. Sea of Ghosts by Alan Campbell. This one is, the author Alan Campbell wrote the Star Night trilogy, which is a fantastic trilogy if you haven't read that. We have The Brothers Grimm, a complete first edition of the original folk fairy tales. Books 1, 2 and 3 of the Book of Dust trilogy. That's going to take a little while to read. And then on these shelves, I will grab the camera for this. We have the Brent Weeks series here, which I haven't read. I have not actually read The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe series. I need to read Alice in Wonderland, Emma and Sense and Sensibility. And on this side, I need to read Roald Dahl the Witches. And down here I have a few Neil Gaiman's Fragile Things and American Gods I have not read, and trigger warning at the bottom there. The others I have read. I'm going to tidy this up and then we'll go through my totals. Alright everyone, the maths is done. So to recap, last year in the office we had a total of 45 books and a TBR of 6. That is now a total of 71 books and a 22 TBR list. Bookshelves on the left in our sitting room last time was a total of 159 books with a TBR of 91. It is now a total of 165 books with a TBR of 66. And finally, the bookshelf on the right downstairs last time was a total of 127 books with a TBR of 57. This year it is a total of 155 books with a TBR of 69. The totals for last year was a grand total of books of 322 books with a TBR of 154, which gave us about 47% of the books being on a TBR list. So 47% of books were not read by myself. This year we have a total of 391 books, so more books. We have a total TBR of 157, so the TBR has gone up a small amount, but that gives us a total TBR percentage of 40%. So even though we have more books and technically the number in the TBR is higher, the percentage is lower. So I have read more books than have come into this house. I am super proud of myself because the first bookshelf I was really optimistic. I was like, oh, we've made a dent. But then the second bookshelf and that office, I was not so positive that I had made a dent. I am very happy with those percentages. Now, if I count in the Pratchett's, the TBR for this video would be 190 instead of the 157, but I didn't include those in the last one. I'm keeping the percentage as the 157 books on the TBR. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you like to see as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. You can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Tumblr. I post my books pictures as well as my tips and unboxings on there. I am so pleased I've got the TBR percentage down by 7%. Let's hope that the next time I film one of these videos, we can maybe get it into the 30% mark. I'm gonna do my best, guys. I'm going to do my best. But thanks so much for watching. Bye!